blank in this day. Astaghfirullah. High unwritten chapter. बिना लिखा हुआ, ना लिखा हुआ चैप्टर को क्या बोलते हैं? अध्याय ना लिखा हुआ अध्याय। अगर ऐसा नहीं बोलते हैं तो हम सॉरी। हाँ, इसको ही तो करना था। इसमें नहीं, इसमें ही देखते कितना होगा। चाय पी के पढ़ना चालू करे 1 आवर की बिना चाय पिए ही पढ़े। 60 मिनट का करेंगे। 60 मिनट बोलो। आई विश कि वाईफाई आ जाता, नहीं आया है। आई थिंक अनरिटन चैप्टर तुम ही हो। बताओ, सिर्फ एक ही तो इंसान है, वो भी नहीं बोल रहा है। अगर तुम अपना राय नहीं दे रहे तो मैं खुद ही सुनूंगी। ओके, मैं चाय पी के आऊंगी। 1 मिनट रुको, ये भी तो हो सकता है ना? हाँ, ये भी हो सकता है, लेकिन नहीं हुआ है। चलो चाय बना के आती हूँ। ओके, फिर मस्त चाय पी के पढ़ेंगे। जाने वो कैसे लोग थे जिनके प्यार को प्यार नहीं। ये चाय ना उतना तेज ना है। ओके ईमा अब क्या पढ़ रही हो? अरे भाई साहब कितनी बार हूँ मैं ना यहाँ पर ना एक कोचिंग ट्यूशन टाइप की कुछ है, वहाँ पर पढ़ाने जाती हूँ, तो मैं उसके लिए प्रिपेयर करके जाती हूँ। मैं हर रोज़ ये बोलती हूँ लेकिन तुम लोग हर रोज़ आके यही क्वेश्चन पूछते रहते हो अनिश। हाय आयुष, चलो स्टार्ट करें। मैंने 60 मिनट का सेट कर दिया है टाइमर। अनिश गुप्ता, कोई बात नहीं, सबको एक ही बार में समझ में नहीं आता होगा ना। मैंने रिपीट कर दिया, फिर से रिपीट कर दो। अनिश गुप्ता, समझ में नहीं आया तो। बुक की हालत ऐसी है ना, मैं क्या बोलूँ, बहुत खराब बहुत खराब। ओके आप किस चीज़ की पढ़ाई कर रही है? हाँ फिर से किसी ने सेम क्वेश्चन पूछा, देखा। आज तो पीछे का ट्रॉफी का राज बता दो। ये वाला ये हम लोगों ने एक बार डांस किया था, उसी का मिला है ये वाला। सिर्फ मैंने नहीं किया था, बाकी लोगों ने भी किया था, लेकिन मेरे पास है फॉर सम रीजन, आई डोंट नो। चलो स्टार्ट करते हो, ओके पढ़ लेते हैं। तो सबका चुरा कर रख ली ना, रखने का दिल नहीं था बट उन लोगों को भी ले जाने का दिल नहीं था। मेरा स्कूल यहीं पे है, तो मेरा घर सबसे पास में है ना, तो वो कैरी करने में मुझे सबसे लेस एफर्ट डालना पड़ेगा, इसलिए शायद मेरे पास है। बाकी सबके ना, मेरे फ्रेंड्स के जो लोग डांस में पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे थे, उन लोगों के घर दूर था, तो कैरी करने में शायद एनर्जी लगता। और आजकल के बच्चे तो होते ही है आलसी। अच्छा ना गुप्ता, मैं ना एक क्लासेस में जाके पढ़ाती हूँ, तो वहाँ पर पढ़ाने के लिए मैं पहले प्रिपेयर करके जाती हूँ, ताकि मैं ना कुछ अच्छा दिखूँ मतलब कि क्या बोलते हैं उसे, वो वर्ड नहीं मिल रहा मुझे। मैं किसी एक कोचिंग को रिप्रेजेंट कर रही हूँ ना, तो प्रेजेंटेबल लगे, दैट्स व्हाट आई मीन। चलो पढ़ो तुम। ओके आयुष। आई थिंक मेरे फ्रेंड्स लोग नहीं आए ना, व्हाट्सएप वाले कोई यहाँ पर आ गए हैं क्या पढ़ने के लिए? मैंने उन लोगों को बोला था, लेकिन किसी ने थम्स अप भी किया था। आई थिंक वो नहीं आए फिर भी। चलो कोई बात नहीं, पढ़ लेते हैं हम लोग। पेंसिल तो गायब हो गया, लेकिन कोई बात नहीं, पेन से ही लिख के पढ़ना पड़ेगा शायद। नहीं, ये नाम संग का है ना। यो ही इज देयर। नाम तो क्या था, मैं भूल गई। इन था ना, इन आई एन इन था ना तुम्हारा नाम। हाय इन, लेट्स स्टार्ट। ओके अब पढ़ते हैं। इट्स मी का नाम आई थिंक इन है। तुम तो देख कर ही टॉपर लग रही हो। हाँ तुमने सही बोला, मैं एक बार टॉपर भी बनी थी क्लास 12 में। यस, इन यान। मुझे प्रोनाउंस करना नहीं आता, लेकिन तुम तमिलनाडु से हो और तुम्हारा नाम इन है। ओके चलो अब पढ़ते हैं। ओके 60 मिनट का रखा है, पढ़ लेते हैं ना प्लीज। स्टार्ट करते हैं। 1 2 3 स्टार्ट। गुड लक एवरीवन, जो भी पढ़ रहे हो गुड लक। इन गुड लक आयुष और बाकी जो भी पढ़ रहे हैं सबको गुड लक। 1 आवर ही पढ़ना है, ओके। मैंने टाइमर स्टार्ट कर दिया। Concentration of a solution. In activity 2.2, we observe that group A and B obtained different shades of solution. So we understand that in a solution, the relative proportion of the solute and solvent can be varied depending upon the amount of solute present in a solution. It can be called a dilute, concentrated, or saturated solution. Dilute, concentrated, saturated solution. Dilute and concentrated are comparative terms. The solution obtained by group E is dilute as compared to that obtained by group B. Is the amount of salt and sugar or barium chloride that can be dissolved in water at a given temperature the same? At any particular temperature, a solution that has dissolved as much solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be saturated solution. Temperature. Solution that has dissolved as much as solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be saturated solution. In other words, when no more solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, it is called a saturated solution. At any particular temperature, a solution that has dissolved as much solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be saturated solution. In other words, when no more solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature is called saturated solution. The amount of solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called solubility. The amount of solute present in the saturated solution. The amount of solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called its solubility. The amount of solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called its solubility. If the amount of solute contained if the amount of solute obtained in a solution is less than the saturation level, it is called an unsaturated solution. The amount of solute contained in a solution. Leave them, okay? If the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturation level, it is called unsaturated solution. The amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the at a particular temperature of solution that has dissolved as much solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be saturated solution. In other words, when no more solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, in other words, when no more solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, it is called saturated solution. Saturated solution. Saturated and saturated saturated solution. The amount of solute present in the saturated solution at the temperature is the amount of solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called its solubility. If the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than ಇದು ಏರಾಯ್ತಾ solubility भनेको चाहिँ के हो भन्दाखेरि अति सॉल्यूट सैचुरेटेड सॉल्यूशन में त्यो टेम्परेचर में प्रेजेंट छ कति सॉल्यूट अलरेडी डिजोल्भ भइसकेको छ फर्दर एड हुन सक्दैन If the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturation level, it is called an unsaturated solution. If the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturation level, it is called an unsaturated solution. If the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturation level, it is called an unsaturated solution. What would happen if you were to take a saturated solution at a certain temperature and cool it slowly? What would happen if you were to take a saturated solution at a certain temperature and cool it slowly? We infer from the above activity that the different substances in a given solvent have different solubilities at the same temperature. Different substances in a given solvent have different solubility at a temperature. A given solvent have different solubilities at the same temperature. Different solubilities. The concentration of solution is the amount of solute present in a given amount, mass of volume of solution, or the amount of solute dissolved in a given mass or volume of the solvent. Okay, the concentration of solution is the amount of solute present in the given amount, mass or volume of solution, or the amount of solute dissolved in a given mass or volume of solvent. Concentration of solution, amount of solute upon amount of solution, amount of solute upon amount of solvent. Concentration, amount of solute upon amount of solution, amount of concentration of solution, amount of solute upon amount of solution, amount of solute upon amount of solvent. There are various ways of expressing the concentration of a solution, but here we will learn only two methods: mass by mass percentage of the solution, mass of solute upon mass of solution. Mass of solute upon mass by mass percentage of a solution, mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100. Mass by volume percentage of solution, mass of solute upon volume of solution into 100. Mass of solute upon mass of solution 100. Mass by mass percentage of solution. Mass by mass percentage of solution. Okay. Mass by volume percentage of solution. Mass of solute upon volume of solution into 100. A solution contains 40 gram of common salt NaCl in 320 gram of water. A solution contains 40 gram of common salt solute, 40 gram of common salt in 320 gram of water. H2O 320 gram of water. Calculate the concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage of the solution. Mass by mass percentage. Percentage of a solution. Mass by mass percentage of a solution equals to mass of solute. Mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100 equals to mass of solute 40 upon mass of solution through 20 plus 40 into 100. 40, 50, 60, 360 into 100. Two fives are 10, two ones are 2, two eights are 16, two nines are 18, two twenties are 40. Okay, 5 are 0, 5 are 5 are 10, 100 upon 9. 9 ones are 9, 9 ones are 9, 9 ones are 9. 11.11%. 11.1%. Who cares, Hannah? 1, 2. What is suspension? Non-homogeneous system like those obtained by group C in activity 2.2, in which solids are dispersed in liquid. Solids are dispersed in liquids are called suspension. A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the solute particle do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the solute particle do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. Particles of the suspension are visible to naked eyes. Properties of suspension. Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture. The particle of suspension can be seen by the naked eyes. The particle of suspension can be seen by the naked eyes. The particles of suspension. The particles of suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. The particle in a suspension can be seen by the naked eyes. The particle of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. Okay. A solution of copper sulfate does not suit Tyndall effect. Mixture of water and milk. Water and milk shows Tyndall effect. Mixture of water and milk shows Tyndall effect. The particle of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it. The particle of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. The solute particles settle down when a suspension is left undisturbed. The solute particles settle down when a suspension is left undisturbed. That is, a suspension is unstable. They can be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. Separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. When the particles settle down, the suspension breaks and it does not scatter light anymore. What is colloidal solution? A mixture obtained by group D in activity 2.2 is called a colloid or colloidal solution. Activity 2.2. Excuse me. Let us again divide the class into 4 groups A, B, C, D. Distribute the following samples to each group. Few crystals of copper sulfate to group A. 1 spatula of copper sulfate to group B. Chalk powder or wheat flour to group C. Few drops of milk or ink to group D. Each group should add the given sample in water and stir properly using a glass rod. Are the particles in the mixture visible? Direct a beam of light from a torch through the beaker containing the mixture and observe from the front. Was the path of the beam of light visible? Leave the mixture undisturbed for a few minutes and set up the filtration apparatus. In the meantime, is the mixture stable, or do the particles begin to settle after some time? Filter the mixture. Is there any residue on the filter paper? Discuss the result. Okay, the mixture obtained by group D is called as colloid or colloidal solution. The mixture. The particles of a colloid are uniformly spread throughout the solution due to the relatively smaller size of the particles. Uniformly spread. Okay, the particles of the colloid are uniformly spread through the solution due to relatively smaller size of particles. Chalk powder or wheat flour. Example, chalk powder, CHF, chalk powder in H2O. Astaghfirullah. The particles of the colloid are uniformly spread throughout the solution due to the relatively smaller size of the particle as compared to that of a suspension. The mixture appears to be homogeneous. The particles of a colloid are uniformly spread throughout the solution due to the relatively small size of particles as compared to that of a suspension. The mixture appears to be homogeneous. But actually colloidal solution is a heterogeneous mixture. For example, milk. Because of the small size of colloidal particles, we cannot see them with the naked eyes. Okay, but these particles can easily scatter a beam of light. Light as observed in activity 2.2. The scattering of a beam of light is called the scattering. Scattering of beam of light is called Tyndall effect. After the name of the scientist who discovered this effect. Tyndall effect. Excuse me. Tyndall effect can also be observed when a fine beam of light enters a room through a small hole. This happens due to the scattering of light by the particles of the dust and smoke. So when a beam of light enters a room through a small hole, this happens due to scattering of light by particles of dust and smoke in the air. Mixture of water and milk shows Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect can be observed when sunlight passes through the canopy of dense forest. In the forest, mist contains tiny droplets of water, which act as particle. Water act as particle of colloid dispersed in air. Colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. The size of particles of a colloid is too small to be individually seen by naked eyes. Colloids are big enough to scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. The size of particles of a colloid is too small to be individually seen by naked eyes. Colloids are big enough to scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. They do not settle down when left undisturbed. That is, a colloid is quite stable. They cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration, but a special technique of separation known as centrifugation can be used to separate the colloidal particles. A special technique of separation known as centrifugation can be used to separate the colloidal particles. Can be used. The components of colloidal solution are the dispersed. The components of a colloidal solution are the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium. The solute-like components or the dispersed particle in a colloid form the dispersed phase, and the component in which the dispersed phase is suspended is known as dispersing medium. The solute-like component or the dispersed particle in a colloid form the dispersed phase. The component in which the dispersed phase is suspended is known as the dispersing medium. Colloids are classified. इतना ज़्यादा नेम क्यों आ रहा है? Colloids are classified according to the state, solid, liquid, or gas, of the dispersing medium and the dispersed phase. A few common examples are given in table 2.1. From this table, you can see that they are very common for daily life. Aerosol, smoke, gas, liquid, shaving cream, liquid milk face cream, solid liquid milk of magnesia, gas solid foam. Liquid solid gel, jelly, cheese, butter, solid colored gemstone, milky glass. मुझे इतना ज़्यादा क्यों नींद आ रहा है पता नहीं. 1 मिनट सो लेती हूँ कि 5 मिनट की कितना मिनट आई डोंट नो. A few seconds. अभी मैं सो जाऊंगी तो मुझे नींद आ जाएगा, लेकिन मेरा क्लास है 4 से 4 to 6.